Hello, and welcome to the Cory Network. We have several real estate industry-focused podcast shows showcasing around top leaders, company cultures, and experts serving all verticals of real estate. First up, we have Meet Your Next Best Hire, a podcast featuring and highlighting top industry real estate leaders looking to land their next venture in the job marketplace. And second, we have Company Culture Ambassadors Show, a podcast featuring top leading brands and organizations sharing their company culture, values through their voice to attract top talent to join their teams. And finally, Coffee Combos with Kelsi Cory, a podcast featuring real estate industry experts adding value through their insights, expertise, and backstories to our community. I'm Kelsi Cory, your host. With over a decade of real estate executive search and recruiting experience and the founder of Cory Executive Recruiting and Leaders on Deck, I've had the unique privilege of partnering with top real estate firms to recruit and place high-level leaders across the country. In these podcasts, we will have the amazing opportunity to hear top real estate industry leaders and organizations sharing their career stories, leadership and management style, and ultimately what they're known for in their craft and values that they're driven by. I can't wait to dive in and connect you with the best talent in the marketplace with top industry leading brands and building high performing teams. Let's dive in together.
Welcome everybody to Meet Your Next Best Hire. Today I am so excited to share time and space with Claire Murphy. She is the Vice President of Learning and Development, and she is looking for her next best venture. We get to learn all about your background, how you got into the industry, and more of your expertise. So, Claire, thank you so much for spending time with us on the show today.
Thank you. I love this platform, first of all. Kelsi, what a great job that you and your company do. It's so approachable and fun, and it's kind of the space we're all in, right? The face-to-face, the listening. So I love it. So thank you for bringing me on.
Yes, it's so cool when we get to hear from different industry leaders' voices. The whole point of this show is how do we get to actually hear from your point of view, your perspective? You've been fortunate to impact so many different people's lives, but hopefully this will garner even more visibility to continue people to say, wow, I want to get to know Claire through this process. So I would love to start off with an icebreaker question is, what is one thing that you could share with us that many of us probably wouldn't know about you?
Probably my crazy background. I spent about 4 years in New York City working for VH1. And I know some of the younger audiences like to say, what? But it's MTV Networks. It was really fun. I got to live the Devil Wears Prada. It got old, but it was really fun in the beginning. So I got to meet a lot of really cool musicians and celebrities, and it was really fun.
Did you do that right away? Did you leave? Because I know you're based in Texas. So did you leave the nest and then go to New York right away?
Well, what is so funny is I started my career after college as a leasing professional for JPI and had the great experience with them for about 3 years. And they had actually just put me in a role of training director. And I went to my industry mentor and leader, Joanne Blaylock, and I said, you're going to kill me, but I have to leave and take this crazy journey to New York City and try out what this is going to be like. And she was just like, okay, well, I guess, I can't say no to that.
Once in a lifetime. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Did you like it up in New York then?
I did. It was really fun. It was a big learning curve because, as a Texan, you're used to being in your car. I had no car, walked everywhere. Public transportation was phenomenal. And, different cuisine every day. It was so much fun from that, that perspective. Learned a lot. Had to really think on my feet and be very, yes, I can figure that out, because you don't get all the answers in that business. They expect you to just hustle and make it happen.
I love that. I love the fact that you were so courageous and saying, you know what, I'm going to go try something completely different. You already had it kind of lined up and you said, no, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm going to go for it. And what a
Yep.
fun age too. You're like, I'm living my best life out in New York.
It was fun. I remember a funny episode in Sex and the City where they were actually filming at a club. We had one of our after parties, and I was like, this is weird. I'm on
Wow.
TV, like in a place where, the same kind of, it was wild. It was a really fun one of those you always have great stories from.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And that naturally goes into our next question, which is I'm really curious and for you to share with all of us, how did you fall into the industry? I know you briefly touched on it with JPI, but what ultimately made you decide like I'm going to stick with real estate?
What's so funny? I think we can all say it's mafioso, right? You're like, I get in, I try to get out, it drags me back in. But I think it's the vibrancy of our industry. Things are always changing. You're able to really be a critical thinker, but a creative thinker. And I loved that about the business. I loved being able to see the impact immediately. You have a guest walk in, you find them a home. We're the only industry where somebody comes in, buys the product, and stays in the product. They don't buy it and walk away. And I loved the impact of that. I loved being able to see the results of hard work and what good customer service could do for people in one of the most stressful times of their life.
Yes, yes. Now, okay, so backtracking with JPI, how did that happen? Like, were you touring a property? Like, did you know after college or did you go to college or you were like, this is the direction I wanted to go? Can you share a little bit about like, how did you actually break into the space?
Yeah, it's funny. We always have that one crazy friend, and I had this one really crazy friend, and she's like, I just got this job at JPI. You need to try this. And I thought, leasing apartments, I would have never in a million years thought of that as a career. And she said, you can, every day is different. You get to walk up, move around. You still do some desk stuff, but mainly you're out and you're really showcasing beautiful properties. And I thought, okay, let me try that. And it was literally that simple. And I got dipped my toe and I said, this is really fun. And I think when you're at that age to just talk and meet different people every day, again, it was just that connection to people it was a dream job at the time, right? You just think, oh, this is great. I get to talk all day and someone's paying me to do it.
I love it. It's so funny how like many of us, like we didn't think this would be our natural progression where our career would take us. And yet we find ourselves back to what you were saying, like we don't leave. Nobody leaves. And anybody who does leave, they always come back. I'm like,
We
there's
always
just
find our
something
way back.
magnetic about this space. And I'm like, I'm biased. I know we all are biased that, we get to talk with people, the residents, and that's so true that not only do you show those homes, but then people stay and then you build all relationships with your residents and your teams and then go on to your next venture, wherever that's going to take you.
Yeah. It's a very heartfelt industry. I think you make connections that stay with you your whole life. The people I started with at JPI are still some of the very best people in my life today.
I love it. I love it. And I know when we did the feature on you too, Claire, you had such an outpour of people, that were just super supportive of you.
That was
They
so
love
sweet.
you.
Yes.
And I'm like, that for us is everything because we love to be able to come alongside leaders. And oftentimes we forget the impact that we make on people, right? Like we make a mental note of that. But when you leave or you find yourself looking for your next venture, you don't necessarily realize how many people you were able to positively make a difference for. And it's so cool when people show up, they're rooting for you when you've probably been rooting for them all along the way.
Yeah, it's fun. I think that's why it's a work family.
Yeah, it really is. And that goes into our next question, which is what can you share with us? Like, what are you known for in your craft and your expertise?
Crazy ideas. I think that I am that person that jumps right in and says, yep, we can do it. And here's how, and let's think about this. And I'm able to balance from, having a marketing and a training background. It's like this ecosystem. You're able to make them all work together to have that holistic approach. So while you have a great idea, you can also implement the idea. And I think that I've always been really good at getting things to the finish line. And I'm not indecisive. Anybody that knows me will say, yep, she knows what she wants. She'll come up with the idea. And I say there's no bad ideas. So my team would come up with things. And or I would come up with something and like, I don't really like that because great, because that just generated a better way to do it. And so I loved that camaraderie, and I think I'm able to really help teams gel, but I'm also that motivator and exciter. And I like to coach people and, help them see what's great about themselves. Because when you do that, people take off.
Yes.
They're ready. They got the
Yes.
confidence.
So you really like to gain the buy-in from the team, encourage them to think bigger, think like there's nothing that would be limiting, because that's whenever we can't continue to innovate and scale. So I love the fact that, and I really appreciate the fact that you said you're a very decisive leader. I feel like that is everything when you're inside of those types of positions, is it's able to take something and then build upon it versus, okay, well, maybe we're going to be hesitant. Maybe we'll add this much red tape. Maybe it doesn't really take off.
Right.
You're the type of leader that says, okay, we've got some ideas. Out of all of these options, which one are we going to run with and see it all the way to the end finish line?
Absolutely. As you know, in property management, we don't have a lot of time for anything. So
Yeah.
It's like, you've got to move. You've got to do it.
Yes. Yeah. And that kind of naturally goes into the next question, which is, what's maybe one or two strengths that you can share with us that you also bring to the table?
I think that I don't limit what other people may or may not be able to do. I don't make those pre-assumptions. If I'm managing somebody, I'm going to assume the best and push them to see the best in themselves. And so I think that's why I'm very honored to get the type of response I got. But I think it's because I really help people find the best in themselves. And I think that's a very strong skill set for a leader. I'm not worried about what I look like. I don't have this ego that says I'm this position or I'm this title, or, that's never been part of my vocabulary. So I think the authenticity of connecting with people and working together to get the job done and get it done to the best of everybody's ability. I do these things called post-morties, where it's the post-mortem, right? After things, we would go talk about it. What do we do good? What do we do bad? So it's really being intentional about how to do things and how we learn and grow from doing those things. So I think I'm very good and adaptable to those. I mean, we have plot twists every day on site. So
yeah.
The adaptability makes a big difference in how you lead people.
Yes. I mean, especially like when we went through 2020, I mean, that adaptability and having that strength was probably something many leaders were leaning into, just like yourself, saying, okay, this is the time where we have to roll up our sleeves and we have to find solutions like today. We don't have time to think about where we're going to be, in a year from now. And I love the fact that you bring that forward. And that naturally goes to our last question, which is, how would you describe your leadership management style and how has that impacted the bottom line for you?
I think that again, going back to, I'm very decisive, but that doesn't mean I don't listen. So I think that active listening component in listening to what people have to say is very important. A lot of times in the training business, we make an agenda based on what we think needs to happen, but there's also that conversation of what do people actually need on site. So taking a business goal and taking, my customer was all the associates I worked with on a daily basis. So I was held accountable to a lot of people. And so how do I make sure that audience is informed and happy and feeling culture and feeling loved and cared about? And how do I take that business goal? And you marry those two so that you've got a very strong culture of people who are working together, who want to see success. And then I think it really does show your retention, your associate referral. Our associate referrals were, 75% at my previous company. I think it started to drop a little, but I think that shows that you've got to keep your eye on the ball. Innovation and technology and AI and, the whole idea of centralized accounting and centralized leasing. These are beautiful ideas. But the technology has to blend. I call it high touch, high tech. They've got to work together. So I think I can find that sweet spot and make sure that both parties stay happy. Your investors stay happy. They're getting and receiving what they need from an ROI standpoint. But your associates are happy because they feel like they have accountability in a very authentic way. And I like how that works together.
I love the fact that you said high touch and high tech. That's I'll have to piggyback off that one. That's great. And I like the fact too that it's not, from what you just shared too, you're not serving only one audience, right? It's like you're serving everybody that's involved in that process, and you're looking at things holistically and bringing that forward. I really love diving into your background, your experience, and all that you bring forward. I can clearly tell you love people. You love bringing visions to life and then making it possible, and then moving on to, okay, what's the next big thing we're going to be implementing?
Yep.
I think that's so cool. What's the best way, Claire, for people to get a hold of you, to get connected with you?
I love conversations. Like you said, I do love people, and I love meeting and discussing. So discovery calls are great. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, get a conversation going. I think I will make a confession. When you get caught up in your day job, you tend to forget LinkedIn and you tend to put it on a back burner. But I will say I will never do that again, because I've been so warmly welcomed and championed in that space within our industry that it made me start to say, you know what, I want to start putting content out there if I can help people. Unpaid, just this is for the good of the whole industry. So you'll see me post some things, comment back, call me, download, we can download and just have conversations.
Yes. I love the fact that you brought that up too. It's like sometimes when we get really busy with our lives, especially when we're fully immersed in what we do, we forget about, okay, but there's this whole network out there of people that are wanting to get connected, learn from one another, and then build off those relationships, because you literally, honestly, I hear it all the time. You never know where your next opportunity is going to come from. It's not always what you originally thought. It's always from the people that you least expect it from. And we will definitely be supporting and seeing some of your content being pushed forward on the platform. We definitely support that. And Claire, thank you so much for spending time with us on the show. We're so happy that you made it on Meet Your Next Best Hire.
Thank you. I love it. It was great. So much fun. Thank you, Kelsi.
Thank you.
Thanks again for listening and sharing your time with us on the show. I hope you enjoyed listening and learning from various leaders our industry is so fortunate to have inside the real estate space. If you're a high-level leader within the diverse real estate ecosystem and looking to land your next venture and would like to share your story from your own voice and perspective, or if you're a leading real estate organization and want to share through your own voice and narrative your company culture, values, and ways you recruit and retain top talent, let's get connected. Then be sure to check out our firm also at Cory Executive Recruiting and Leaders on Deck via CoryExecutive.com. Our mission is to continue to be trailblazers within the recruitment space and bring meaningful leaders to the forefront to drive growth and empower people. If you've enjoyed this session, please like, comment, and subscribe to support us. And thank you so much to our partners at Multifamily Media Network. We couldn't be more grateful for our collaboration. Stay tuned and join us on our journey.